Well, hi there. My name is Noreen Smith from organizedandcreativemom.com, and welcome to the Hello Autumn layout class as part of the 2020 Great Canadian Scrapbook Carnival, the virtual edition. I am thrilled to be with you here today. I am a Creative Memories advisor from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I'm a regular blog contributor, Facebook Live contributor, video contributor to the wonderful Creative Scrapbooker magazine, who of course is hosting this amazing carnival. In my segment during this next hour, you're actually going to learn how to put together 6 double-page layouts using my 1, 2, 3 technique. And it's a technique that allows you to create the base for your layouts very, very quickly from just one piece of double-sided pattern paper, 2 pieces of cardstock or album pages for the base, and by making the whole thing with just 3 cuts. So it's super fast, and I think if you haven't already tried some of my 1, 2, 3 layouts, I think you're going to really, really like how fast these are to get lots of photos onto your pages. Now I'm going to be using the beautiful Hello Autumn paper pack and stickers from Creative Memories in all of the layouts that you'll see me creating today. But I want to let you know that you can use any double-sided pattern paper with coordinating embellishments that you might have in your stash. These layouts can be adapted to any theme, any occasion, any holiday, just by, again, following the cutting guide, the sketch, and the instructions. So I know that you're going to get a lot of use out of these layouts, and I'm sure you're going to want to scrap them more than once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to review the supplies and products that you're going to need to create the 6 layouts. Then we're going to go through the cutting guides that you're going to need to kind of watch and learn how to cut all of the pieces, and then we're going to assemble them. On the way through all of that, I'm also going to share some tips and ideas with you, and I'm going to show you my finished layouts so that you get some ideas on how to embellish them. And of course, we'll talk about some variations as well so you can change up the way that the layouts look. So we've got a jam-packed hour together. I'm going to switch the camera over so you can see what's on my table, and we're going to get started. Okay, so let's take a look at the products that I'm going to be using, and then I can give you your supply list as well, and then we can get cutting and assembling. So I mentioned that we're going to be using the beautiful Hello Autumn paper pack. This paper pack has all of these gorgeous patterns in them, and you can see that you actually get 12 sheets in the paper pack. I'm going to be using one of each of the sheets that comes in the pack, and you can see that they have the double-sided patterns on each side, and that's really what makes the 1, 2, 3 layouts work so beautifully. The fact that you can cut a piece of paper and then flip over some of them is really the basis for the 1, 2, 3 method. So we're going to be using those 6 lovely sheets of paper, and we're going to use those to create our 6 layouts. Now there's also a fantastic sticker pack, and we are going to use pretty much every sticker on these 3 sheets to create the embellishments for our layouts. We're going to have a couple left over, and you're going to have a couple of choices. If you're using this particular pack, I'm going to share what I do, and you can definitely alter them or adapt them to suit your particular layouts. We're also going to be using some cardstock. Now this colored cardstock is going to be used, and we're cutting it into mats for our photos and kind of using them as placeholders for our photos. So I have 2 pieces of crimson cardstock, 2 pieces of navy, and 1 piece each of the medium blue and the pear cardstock. And these these pieces of cardstock can only be found in the Croptoberfest cardstock sampler. So they are kind of exclusive. You could definitely use more of the crimson, more of the navy, if you don't have access to the Croptoberfest cardstock pack. Next, we're going to need some cardstock for our base pages. Now, if you like to scrapbook on cardstock and then drop it into top loading or side loading sleeves, then you'll need 12 pieces of cardstock. I'm using all white for my layouts today. If you are a Creative Memories scrapbooker and you like to scrapbook directly onto your strap hinge album pages, then you're going to need 6 spreads. So again, if you scrapbook right in your albums, you know, you can just open it to a new spread and then just keep going. If you're going to be scrapbooking on individual album pages, you might want to have enough that you can have 6 separate spreads. So again, whether you like to use cardstock for your layout bases or album pages, you're going to need 12 or 6 spreads. You also might want to think about purchasing a copy of the Hello Autumn 1-2-3 layout guide for yourself. Now, it is not mandatory. You do not have to have it in order to make these layouts. I'm going to be sharing all of the cutting guides, all of the sketches, and we're going to go through each of them step by step. But if you're the kind of scrapbooker who likes to have, you know, a physical copy in front of you with all of the instructions and sketches to refer to, you might want to purchase this. It is available in my organizedandcreativemom.com shop. I will also put the link below this video in the comments, and it's only $10 Canadian. You can purchase it no matter where you are in the world, and the e-commerce platform will convert your currency no matter where you are. So for $10, you get all of these sketches, instructions, and pictures of the finished layout. You also get a printable copy of some fun little journal brackets that I designed. Some of them are lined, some of them are unlined, and basically you would just print the copy that comes with the guide, and you can cut those out. So definitely that might be worthwhile grabbing. The layouts that I'm going to show you will have these little journal brackets on them, but again, you don't need it. You could definitely use other journal boxes or just small pieces of white cardstock to write your journaling on. And then in terms of some other basic tools that you'll need, definitely a trimmer to trim your paper, to cut your paper. This is the Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer, which is fantastic. You'll also need some adhesive. I've got my regular tape runner. I've got my repositionable adhesive, just in case I've got some small bits and pieces. I've got my foam squares, which are just fantastic little raised adhesive pieces. I've got some scissors, including my micro tip, just in case I want to do some cutting, a journaling pen, and a fantastic little multi-purpose tool. This is, you know, indispensable for lifting up stickers, replacing things that if they're in the wrong place, etc. So just some of the basic scrapbook tools that you'll also need. So in order to get our layouts done really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and do some pre-cutting. Now, I mentioned that the lovely cardstock that we have here is going to be used as photo mats. Now, in terms of photo mats, you don't have to use, you don't have to mat your photos. You can definitely just put your photos right onto your layouts. You can print your photos with white borders. You don't have to mat them. If you choose to mat them, however, I do want to show you a very quick way to get all of your mats prepared and ready to go. Now, you'll notice as we go through the sketches that each sketch has room for 7 photos, and they are all in the same orientation. We've got room for 2 4x6, and those are portrait or vertical style photos. We've got room for 2 horizontal 6x4-inch photos, and then room for 3 4x4s. And we'll be able to cut all of those sizes from one sheet of cardstock. So I've got 6 cardstocks, 6 layouts. And what's even going to make it easier is we're going to actually cut through 2 pieces at a time. So let me show you the cardstock cutting guide first of all. And if you're scrapping along, have a look, and then you can start cutting your own cardstock. So you can see very easily here that we can get all 7 photo mats from one piece of 12x12-inch cardstock. I'm going to cut first at 4 inches, then another 4 inches. I'm going to stack those pieces of paper, the 4x12-inch strips, turn them sideways and cut at 6. And that will give me my 4 4x6 photo mats. Then my last 4 by 12 strip, all I need to do is turn that, cut at 4 again, and I will have all of my 4 by 4 cutting mats. So 7 cutting mats from one piece of cardstock. Okay, so let's do this, and it's only going to take a couple of minutes to cut all of our cardstock. So I'm going to cut the pear and the medium blue together. And yes, the Creative Memories trimmer is so awesome. It does a great job of cutting between 2 sheets of cardstock nice and cleanly. I like to just go slowly and press firmly, and I also like to go down and then back up, and those 2 passes really help. So basically I have 4 strips of 4 by 12 cardstock. I'm going to turn them sideways, position it at 6, and then I'm going to cut through all of those to get my 4 by 6 photo mats from my pear and medium blue. Then I'm going to do the same here, but I'm just going to cut at 4 inches and then 4 inches again. And that's all of my blue and pear photo mats done. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for our crimson and the navy. Okay, so I've got all of my navy, all of my crimson, and then I have my pear and blue. They're kind of mixed up, so let me sort those out right now. And I have all of the photo mats that I'm going to need for all 6 layouts. So again, remember that you do not need the photo mats, but if you want to have them ready to go, this is the fastest way to do it. Let me show you the cutting guide that we're going to cut our papers for layouts number 1 and 2. So as you can see, we're making 3 cuts. The first one is going to be at 3 inches if we're cutting through our full paper. The next would be the equivalent of 6 inches, and the third would be at 9 inches. And you can see from the small measurements at the bottom of each strip that each of them will be 3 inches by 12 inches. So a very, very easy cutting guide. So let's go ahead and cut through here. And again, I like to just stack my papers together. And cutting through 2 pieces of paper at the same time is going to make our layouts go really, really fast. So there's 3 inches. I'll set that aside. Another 3 inches, which would be 6 inches on a full-size sheet. Set that aside, and then just make sure it's nice and even. One more cut at 3 inches. So those are the 3 cuts that we need for these particular layouts. I'll just separate them into our 2 piles here. And I'm going to put the strips that we're going to use for layout number 2 just off to the side. Get my paper. So now I have my background paper and all of my strips that I need for layout number 1. Let's take a look at the sketch for it, and then we'll arrange our paper. So you can see that we have 1 strip going vertically on each page and 1 strip going horizontally. And then we have all of our photos on top. So we're going to arrange our strips, our vertical strips, about 1 inch from the side edges, and then we'll arrange our horizontal strips on top of those about 2 inches down. So I'm going to put my orange strips about 1 inch in from the edge, and then I'm going to flip over my paper and place my green strips about 2 inches down from the top edge and about 2 inches up from the bottom. Okay, and that really is our base for our layout. Let's go ahead and get some of our navy photo mats, and let's start placing our photos. So we're going to basically place one 4x4 right there, a horizontal 6x4 there, and a vertical 4x6 just below the strip. So that's one half done. On the opposite side, we're going to place one vertical 4x6, a horizontal 6x4, and then our final two 4x4s. Okay, so you can see how fast we've been able to basically create the base for this layout. And just a reminder, there's our base that we created, and here's our final layout number one. So I wanted to show you a couple of variations before we leave this. Now, of course, you can flip over your strips and have your green strips going vertically and your orange strips going horizontally. Okay, so that would be a variation. You could also do a mirror image where basically these photo mats get flipped over and put on this side, and you could have your title over on this side. Or you could even switch out some of the paper strips with the ones that we cut for layout number two. So just imagine, for example, that you could change out two of the strips and have perhaps the navy and the orange together, or the navy and the green together. So there's lots and lots of variations that are possible with just using this simple layout. So here again is layout number one. Okay, so I've got a fresh base for my layout, and let's move on to layout number two. These are the strips that we cut at the same time for layout number two. Basically, we're going to flip those over to show the navy leaf pattern, and let me remind you and show you the sketch for layout number two. So once again, with just those four 3-inch by 12-inch strips, you can see that we have a very, very different looking layout. So we're going to place one strip along the bottom of the left-hand side, leave some room for the 6x4-inch photos, and then another strip in the opposite pattern right above that. And then on the right-hand side of our page, we're going to leave space for two 4x6 photos, and then run our two strips right side by side, and then place the 4x4 photos on top of them. So let's create this really easy layout together. All right, so in my layout, I think I had the green strip along the bottom. I've got my navy photo mats handy here. Then it would be room for two 6x4-inch photos, and then a strip of the opposite pattern. So in this case, the navy leaves. Then on this side, we're going to place two photo mats, or two photos, depending on which way you decide to scrap. Then I'm going to put my green strip right next to them, the navy leaf strip right next to that, and then two of my 4x4 photos on top of those strips. My final 4x4 photo spot is going to go over here, leaving me room for my title and an embellishment cluster, my journaling, and another embellishment cluster over here. So let's take a look again at the finished layout. Here's our assembled layout, very quick to assemble. And here is our finished layout with all of the pieces adhered. And I've used one of the green journal brackets down here. The beautiful white pumpkins, so elegant and sophisticated. And then a few of the little acorn stickers. So just to give a little bit of a pop of color. But again, you can see how fast those layouts will come together once that you have your pieces cut. And then really all you need to do is adhere them down, and then you can come back later and add your photos. So that is layout number two. On to layouts number 3 and 4, and just like we cut through both pieces of pattern paper for layout number 1 and 2, we're going to do the same thing for layouts 3 and 4. And for these ones, I'm going to be using this really variegated stripe, and the other side has a pretty pale green leaf design on them. And then the other paper has the kind of maroon pinstripe and the lovely blue circles of leaves on this side. Now, both of these sides are very monochromatic, so we don't really have to worry about how we cut through. But for these striped sides, I want my stripes to go across my pages this way. So I'm going to make sure that I cut down through the stripes. Okay, so with that in mind, let's have a look at the cutting guide for layouts 3 and 4. Okay, so after doing such a simple cut for layouts number 1 and 2, layouts 3 and 4 is a little bit more complex. And what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of stacking and turning our strips to get more than just 4 pieces. So you can see that our first cut is going to go down through the center of the page at 6 inches. Then it asks us to stack the papers. We stack the papers so that we can cut through more papers at the same time, and it yields more pieces for us to work with, okay? So our second cut is that we're going to cut through both pieces at 2 inches. And then we will have two 2 by 12 strips that we're going to set aside. We're going to keep the last 2 4 by 12 strips together, stacked together. We're going to turn them 90 degrees, and we're going to make our final and third cut at 2 inches. And that's going to give us 2 little pieces that measure 2 by 4, and then 2 larger pieces that actually measure 4 by 10. So come on back here and let's cut through these papers together. All right, so remember that I mentioned that I want to cut down through my stripes. I'm going to cut through both of these at the same time. So I want to make sure that both of my stripes are oriented this way so that when I cut, I will end up with strips that show all of the colors and patterns in my stripes. Okay, so let's open this up. My first cut is at 6 inches, cutting through both papers. So that's 6 inches. And now I'm going to stack the papers together. Make sure I have a nice, neat stack. Put them back in my trimmer, and I'm going to make my second cut through all 4 pieces at 2 inches. So again, just like when we were cutting the cardstock, I like to go slowly, press firmly, and make 2 passes. So now I'm going to set those 2 by 12 inch strips aside. And then my third cut tells me that I want to turn my strip. I'm keeping everything stacked still. All my papers are still stacked. Make it nice and neat. Turn it. And then I'm going to put it back in my trimmer at 2 inches. Cut through all of them again, and I'm going to have all the pieces that I need. So let's separate these out here. So there's my 2 inch strips with that particular paper, 2 inch strips with that paper. Then I've got 4 by 10 inch strips for both papers, and I've got 2 by 4 inch strips for both papers. Okay, so again, we really quickly, with just 3 cuts, cut all of the pieces we need for our next 2 layouts. Okay, so now we're on to layout number 3. So let me show you the sketch that we're going to be using with the red pinstripe and blue leaf pattern along with our crimson cardstock. Let's take a look at the sketch for this layout. So again, at first glance, you can see that we have our same 7 photo spots. I love how we can get lots and lots of photos on here. We have our 2 inch by 12 inch strips going across the bottom of the paper, and they overlap the 4 inch by 10 inch strips. And those little pieces that we had extra, the little 2 inch by 4 inch pieces, those actually are going to tuck in behind our photos to kind of create a fun little accent. So I'm going to place my 4 inch by 10 inch strips down to meet in the middle of my pages, and again, maybe just about a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom. Then I'm going to flip over my 2" by 12" strips and place them across my paper. Okay, so we're basically creating a nice little border on the bottom of our page. All right, and now I can start adding in my photos, and we're going to add 2 horizontal 6x4s and 2 4x4s right beside them. Okay, that's one side done. And then on this side, we're going to use 1 4x6. Just get that in place there. Another 4x6 just beside it, but kind of a little bit lower. And then our other 4x4 to kind of anchor the bottom. And again, you can just adjust those as you go. And then our final 2 little strips, we're just going to tuck in behind our photos to kind of separate them and give them a little bit of contrast. Okay, so that is the layout according to the sketch. Let me show you my finished layout here. So there's the sketch, and here's our finished layout. So you can see that I've embellished it with some of the stickers, a little red journal bracket, and then we've got our title and a couple of other embellishment clusters. So again, very easy to finish off the embellishments for that particular page. Now let me show you a couple of variations for this. Obviously you can flip your patterns around, so you could have it with the blue pattern being underneath the striped pattern. Okay, and you could also have the striped pattern underneath your photos. You could even turn them, those 2x4" pieces, just for a little bit of variation. Okay, the other thing that you could do if you have more vertical photos is you could definitely just kind of reorient your photos here so that you have vertical photos with the 4x4s at the top. And again, you could just tuck that in behind. Okay, so there's lots and lots of different things that you can do. You could even turn that sideways there. All right, so once you have your paper pieces ready, you can create a lot of different layouts just by playing with the pieces, by flipping the different patterns to show at different spots, and by rearranging your photo mats. So that is layout number 3. All right, so on to layout number 4, and we have our second little pile of papers that we cut at the same time that we cut our papers for layout number 3. Okay, so same kind of thing. We're going to be able to turn over some of our strips, and I'm actually going to be using these pieces with the green leaf side over, and these pieces we're going to stay as the stripe. So let me show you the sketch for layout number 4. So it might not be apparent where everything fits right now, but you'll see in just a second as I assemble the layout where it all goes. But our 2" by 12" strips this time are going to go across the middle of the page, and then our other patterned paper pieces are going to go above and below. So if you look on the left hand side, we have the little 2x4" piece below the striped strip, and then that helps to anchor 2 photos, the 6x4 and a 4x4. And then our 4x10 strip is above the 2x12 on that side, and then it's just reversed on the opposite side. So let me show you how to put this particular one together. All right, so let's take our striped strips, say that fast, and we're going to put them together in the middle. Okay, we can adjust them afterwards, and you'll notice that I just flipped it over just so that I have you know, the greens together. You could definitely alternate the colors, but I just like the way it looks when kind of it's together in the center and then it's equal when I go out from the center. All right, and so then one of my little 2x4" strips is going to go right below here. One of my 4x10 strips is going to go above. On this side, my 4x10 is going to go underneath, and then my last little 2x4 strip is going to go above. Okay, so now you can see where the paper strips sort of will live, and now you can get a better idea of where the photos will go. So down here, we're going to have a 6x4 and a 4x4. And we're going to repeat that up on the top. And again, you could switch these around. You could have the 4x4s in the center, or, you know, you can do a little bit of switching around here. So as long as you have those two sizes, that will fill in the space very, very nicely. Okay. And then we're going to have one of our vertical 4x6s here. The other one is going to come on this side, and then our final 4x4 will just fill in that spot there. And then we've got room for our title, we've got room for our journaling down here, and then maybe one more embellishment cluster. So that's how layout 4 comes together, and let me show you the finished layout. Exactly the same papers and crimson cardstock. And you can see that I've chosen to use the Autumn Fest sticker and the fun little banner border stickers here. Now these banner stickers actually come in a long 12-inch strip, so I just actually cut them apart so that I could use them in 3 different areas of my layout. Then I've placed one of my little navy journal brackets down here to finish off the layout. So again, very quick to put together. Let's talk about some of the variations. Obviously, you could flip over these strips, but what I also wanted to point out that I don't think we've really talked about is that you can use different colored photo mats. So we cut a bunch of photo mats at the beginning together. You could definitely interchange them. So let's just flip this over on this side, and let's maybe use some of the navy cardstock. So you can see how this will be just a very different look with the exact same paper. Okay. There we go. So depending on the colors in your photos, depending on the theme that you want to kind of use, you could definitely do some switching around of your paper pieces as well as your cardstock pieces. Don't forget too that because we cut all of our pieces at the same time for layouts number 3 and 4, we could actually alternate or interchange some of the paper strips. So what if I pulled out the 2x12 paper strip from that and inserted one of our papers from layout number 3? You could do some mix and match scrapbooking with that. Okay, so again, all of these variations are shown in the layout guide. You don't have to purchase that, but if you want to have a visual reminder of some of the variations as well as those finished products, you can definitely grab a copy for yourself and refer back to it often. Okay, so layout number 4. Okay, so if you could believe it, we're down to our last 2 pieces of paper. We're going to do the cutting for layouts number 5 and 6 together. And we're going to use these beautiful papers, the kind of pile of leaves with the navy distressed and the kind of maroon maple leaves with a pretty polka dot pattern on the back. So again, as you can guess by now, when we cut them at the same time, we're actually able to kind of mix and match some of these patterns. So of course that red goes beautifully with this. It would also be a nice complement to this. And if you're looking for, another combination, the navy and the polka dot goes really well. Now the cutting guide for layouts 5 and 6 is the most involved. So let's take a look and let me talk you through it before I walk you through it. So some of you might be a little intimidated by that diagonal cut. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks as we go along that will make it a little bit easier. Okay. We're going to start by cutting through our paper at 6 inches and we're going to stack it. But because of the nature of triangles and because we want to move the triangles around on our page and have them be versatile, what we have to actually do first is flip one of our 6 by 12 inch pieces over. So basically we want to make our next cut with the papers facing each other. The same pattern will be facing each other, okay? So that's an important step. You'll still be able to make some great layouts, but if you don't flip them first before going through your next couple of cuts, you will have less options. All right, so we've cut at 6, we've flipped one piece over, we've stacked them nice and neatly again, just like we did for cutting guides 3 and 4. We're going to put it back in our trimmer and we're just going to cut 1 inch off this time. So we're going to have 2 1-inch by 12-inch strips. We're going to set those aside and we're going to keep our 2 remaining 5 by 12-inch strips stacked. Here's where we're going to make our diagonal cut. We're going to cut from opposite corner at the top to the opposite corner at the bottom. And you can see that we're going to end up with triangles that have one 5-inch length side and one 12-inch length side. Okay? So now some of you might be worried about cutting through the diagonal. Let me show you how I approach that. I'm going to cut with these 2 papers up. And we are going to cut through both of them at the same time. If you are a little nervous, feel free to just cut through one at a time and then come back and do the same on your next piece, okay? If you're worried about, that diagonal cut, don't feel you have to cut through both pieces at the same time. All right, first cut is easy. We're going to cut at 6 inches, all right? Now here's where we are going to flip the papers over and stack them together, okay? So again, our leaves are facing each other and our red leaves will be facing each other. So that's exactly what we want. Now we're gonna put our paper back in the trimmer, and when I'm cutting just 1 inch, I like to actually feed my paper in this way so that more of the paper stays on the base of the trimmer. So I'm just gonna line that up at 1 and cut through all 4 of my papers, again, nice and slow, nice and controlled. And now I'm going to set aside all of my 1-inch strips. This is where we want to be extra careful. And basically, once your papers are nice and stacked, nice and neatly, we're going to put the bottom corner as far down as we can along our cutting line. Then the opposite top corner, again, we're going to do our best to line it up with the very top edge of our cutting line. Okay, so you can see that it's right below the number there, and I've done my best to line it up down here as well. And then let's just go ahead and cut through it. Nice and slow, go back and forth a couple of times, okay? And then before you lift the trimmer blade housing up, make sure you're holding this down. So I want to lift it up and I want to have my little scissors handy just in case my blade didn't go all the way to the corner. So I'm going to have my scissors handy just in case. Then I can lift up this stack and cut through that last little bit. Just clean up any little edges that you might have. And there's all of your triangles. Okay, so let's just sort those out. I'm going to have 2 navy triangles and 2 of my leaf triangles, 2 of my polka dot triangles and 2 of my red leaves. And then I'm going to have 2 of my polka dot and red strips and 2 of my navy and leaf strips. So again, even though that one took a little bit more effort, we've cut through all of the pieces that we need for both layout number 5 and number 6. Okay, phew, that was the most difficult part of the whole entire layout guide. So now that you've done that, we are ready to go ahead with layout number 5. We're going to be using this particular paper pattern, and let me show you the sketch. Now, I really like this sketch. I love it when I can introduce triangles and diagonal lines into a layout because it just creates so much more movement and interest. So you can see that we've kind of created a nice diamond shape in the middle by arranging our triangular paper pieces at the top and bottom corners, and then we have our 1" by 12" strip going across about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches up from the bottom, and then all of our photos can be placed on top. So let's go ahead and create this layout. All right, so I think that I'm going to actually place my red pieces at the bottom, okay, and this is what I was talking about with flipping. So this red piece, if I placed it like this, it obviously wouldn't turn over. So by doing our flip when we did our cuts, that allows us to flip over our pieces and make them work for our layout. So I'm going to have the red at the bottom simply because it's a darker color and I like the way that it provides a bit of, kind of visual weight at the bottom of the layout. And then I'll place my polka dot strips across the bottom there. Now we're going to use our pear colored cardstock. Again, this beautiful pear color is only available in the Croptoberfest cardstock sampler. So if you didn't have this particular color, you could use crimson, okay? It would be a lot of red, but it definitely would work. You could use a beige or a gray, or you could even use another light green. So look through your cardstock and see what's going to work best for you. All right, on this side, I'm going to actually move these up just a little bit. And on this side, we're going to place 2 4x6 vertical photos and 2 of our 4x4s. And on this side, we're going to have our 2 horizontal 6x4s and our final 4x4. So again, you can just kind of play around with that so that everything is nice and lined up. And you can see that basically what we've really tried to do is keep our photos towards the center of the page so that we have some areas on the outside edges of the page for our title, an embellishment cluster, our journaling, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's how we put together layout number 5, and let me show you our finished one. I love the combination of embellishments on this one. This one we're calling Hello Autumn, using the Hello Autumn strips, and really all we've done is taken the 2 large sprays of leaves. I've anchored the Hello Autumn title with one of them, and I've cut the other one into 2 pieces so that I can have a couple of embellishment cluster areas. And then I've added one of my journaling brackets, and that's that. So a very pretty layout, and again, looks a lot more complicated than it really is to put together. Now, in terms of some changes, you could definitely turn your photos, in terms of variations, I guess I should say, you could definitely make all of your photos horizontal. If you had a lot of landscape style photos, this would be a good layout to feature them on. Okay. Again, you could change the photo mat color. And the other fun thing to do is to, once again, interchange some of our strips. So you could either put the navy strip from the other paper that we cut, or, as I think I would love to do, would be to feature that gorgeous pile of leaves pattern. Okay, so again, you can do lots of different things now that we have some pieces that are able to be interchanged. So that is layout number 5. On to our final layout base for our class today, and this is actually probably my favorite layout out of all of the ones in the guide. We're going to use this beautiful navy and leaf patterned paper. Okay, we're also going to be using the pretty medium blue colored cardstock photo mats that we've already cut. And again, if you don't have those from the exclusive Croptoberfest cardstock sampler, you could definitely pull out a pale blue. I think our cloud might work. The red crimson would work really well, and so would navy. So you've got lots of options. All right, so let's have a look at the sketch for layout number 6. Okay, how fun and dynamic this sketch is. You can see that we've got our 2 pieces of triangular pattern paper on each side, but it's arranged a little bit differently, and our 1-inch border strips go across the top and the bottom of the layout. So it really directs your eye and moves your eye throughout the layout. So much fun and such a dynamic, interesting layout to put together. Okay, so for my layout, I want to have the piles of leaves on the outside corners. So I'm going to actually flip those pieces over. Okay, and then I'm going to have my navy, distressed navy, on the inside. Now you have some choices, of course, with the strips. I'm going to contrast it with the outside, so I'm going to use the navy side of my strip because I want it to contrast over here. This part is going to have a lot of photos over top of it, so you're not going to see that as much. So I chose to do that navy side on top of the leaves. Okay, so now let's put some of our photos together on here, our photo mats I should say. And on this side we actually have 3 4x6s. So let's put down 1 horizontal, 2 horizontal, and again you can adjust as you need to or as you like. And then our third 4x6 is going to just kind of sneak up over here and overlap the strip. Then on this side, our 4x6 will overlap the strip at the top. We're going to have a 4x4 just below it. So again, you might want to stagger these now that we are getting all of our photo mats there. You want to stagger them a little bit. I always think it looks best if you either have things staggered purposefully or lined up purposefully. If they're just a little bit off, sometimes it looks a little awkward. And then our final 2 4x6s are going to just kind of go over in this area. And I'm just going to snug that up to the border. And there we go. So that is how our photos are going to go on this particular layout. And let me show you the finished layout. And for this one, I've used the last 2 border stickers that had text on them that says always something to be thankful for. So I actually just ran them across the strips, and then where I knew they would be covered up by photos, I snipped those pieces away and I used the text there for my little embellishment clusters. So thankful for friends and family, be thankful, and I can put my journaling down here, and then our final few stickers here that say count your blessings. Okay, so that's how layout number 6 looks. Let's talk a little bit about our variations. Again, you can flip these over. You can use the different colored cardstock mats. Okay, you can flip your pattern so that you would have your your leaf pattern in the center and your navy pattern on the side. So that would be another option. You could stagger it like that. There's lots and lots of different options that you can have. Okay, again, because we did our strips the same time, we can also interchange the strips that we have for the strips that we cut out from the paper for layout number, oops, where'd my other strip go? There it is, for layout number 5. So again, lots and lots of different possibilities. And I think that you can see from looking at some of these variations how you could really use these layouts over and over again, and none of them would ever look necessarily exactly the same. So here I've lined up all my photos very symmetrically instead of having them kind of staggered and dynamic. Okay, you could also put your, if you had more landscape type of photos, you could make those all landscapes and have just one single vertical photo at the end. Okay, so again, that's what my assembled layout looks like. And here's our final copy, final finished layout number 6. Now, before I let you go, I just wanted to talk about embellishments for a really quick moment here. Now, I used just one package of stickers for all 6 of the layouts. And again, you can go back and look through the video, freeze frame things if you need to see them, or if you want to purchase that copy of the Hello Autumn layout guide, you'll see all 6 of the finished layouts in there as well. So I used just that one package of stickers, and these are the stickers that I did not use. So here was just a little leftover from the border that I was talking about for layout number 6. I've got 3 different sort of title stickers, and again, you could use any of these stickers in place of some of the other ones. So for example, on the one that I used, the pumpkin spice days, you could switch that out for our little pumpkin, and wouldn't that be darling for, you know, a picture of your kids in the pumpkin patch. Instead of, you know, Autumn Fest, if you have pictures of a corn maze, you can add that in. And instead of something like the apple orchard, there it is. Instead of something like the apple orchard sticker, you could definitely put apple of my eye. So I really got a lot of mileage out of those stickers. You can also purchase the Hello Autumn foiled embellishments. You can see that there's some beautiful die cuts and gems in here. And also the Hello Autumn variety matte pack, which has 4x6 and 4.5 inch by 6.5 inch cards that you can use in place of some of our photos. You can use them for journaling boxes, etc. And just a reminder that if you do purchase the Hello Autumn layout guide, you're going to get the free printable journal boxes. I ended up using all of the green, all of the navy, all of the crimson or red, and I did not use the orange. But you can definitely use those orange ones, especially on that fun pumpkin page. So I've included all 4 of those colors for you. You can print off as many pages as you need, cut them out, and use them again and again and again. Okay? So I hope that you have enjoyed seeing all 6 of the layouts. I'm going to insert the photos of the finished layouts right here before I finish off. Okay, so that is 6 layouts in, you know, around an hour. The base pages are all done, and now you can choose what photos you want to add to them, additional embellishments, all of that kind of good stuff. Now, of course, I mentioned throughout the video that I was using the Creative Memories products, so I definitely want to let you know where you can purchase those. If you are in Canada, I would love to help you on my own Creative Memories website. You can see that at the bottom here. If you live in the United States, you can check creativememories.com. Creative Memories also does business in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and Germany, as well as Japan. So if you are in any of those locations, check creativememories.com and then go to the International Consultant Locator, and you will be able to find and order those products, okay? And I also want to remind you where you can purchase the layout guide. Now remember, you can pause this video, go back, take screenshots of all of the cutting guides and sketches, but you might want to have a paper copy in front of you. Also, when you purchase the layout guide, you will get the printable for those lovely little journal brackets. So if you're interested in purchasing the Hello Autumn Layout Guide, you can definitely check out my own personal shop, shop.organizedandcreativemom.com, for the Hello Autumn Layout Guide, as well as lots of other 1, 2, 3 layout guides, freebies, cut files, printables, lots more. So I really do hope you check that out. I have had a wonderful time scrapping with you today. I hope you have too. I'm going to be able to check all of the comments down below here and try to answer any questions. You can certainly feel free to message me via Facebook Messenger at Organized and Creative Mom. Check out my Facebook page and message me that way. Or if you'd like, you can certainly email me at organizedandcreativemom@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to help you with any questions that you have so that you can get your photos onto your pages and your pages into your albums and scrapbook really quickly. All right. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks so much to Katerina and Jackie for having me. This was a ton of fun. I look forward to another time when we can scrapbook together in person, but I hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual Scrapbook Carnival for the next day and a half. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye for now.